So the practical stuff, I want to talk to you about how to take what we talked about from session one and give you some practical, how to break it out into tasks so that you take this thing that you're impassioned about, you start finding your passion, you start finding, what happens is you start finding a theme to what you want to do. Now as you mature and you get older, your theme will actually change if you let it. You'll actually see your theme become more mature. It'll become, your purpose will become more purified. You're actually going to see some philosophical ideals instead of just raising a family. You know, I want to raise my family and have these objectives, and now I want to empower my children. You know, you actually have a different perspective. And from the outside, some people think it's the same thing. But as your purpose is becoming deeper and more wide and deep in the realm of the EQ and the SQ, you're going to see it inspire you and other people. Suddenly people are going to start coming to you and saying, how do you do that? How do you raise 4 kids and they're all wonderful kids? How do you have a successful marriage? How do you, they just start seeing a result of your life. How do you, every business you start turns to gold. How come, they just start asking you for help. And so your life becomes an example of success. And so I'm going to show you how to start making some of those things happen. So we talked about the chart. You're taking your chart and seeing, here's my goals. You start putting them on a chart. We did the short term, medium term, long term. What happens first is you start taking some of those things. You start taking some of those items on the list. It starts to look like a scattered bunch of things. And what's going to happen is you're going to see 1 or 2 that really jump out at you. You're going to find a couple things on the list that you would like to accomplish first. And so let's start off with those 2 or 3 items. These are the things that are most important to me. Now you're going to find this as a process as you go through with life, that things will take precedence over other things. There's a difference between things that are urgent and things that are important. And when something becomes urgent, your finances, you get laid off from your job and suddenly you don't have any income, you're going to have to spend your time getting a job. You don't have time to work on your side business. It's not making you enough money yet. So sometimes you have to put things aside to move on to the urgent. So there's some practical things involved as you start moving forward. Also, you're going to find as you start putting things that you think are important on the list, and it goes a couple weeks into it, you're going to find out, well, it's not as important. And here's a perfect example. One of the things that I wanted to do for 20 years was learn to play the guitar. So bought a couple guitars, got some friends teach me a couple chords. I learned 20 different chords, and I started practicing. And then it started to be distraction for me. I had a lot of other things going on. Things just pushed it off to the side. And the guitar started to sit in the corner, and it became a frustration for me because every time I go by, I knew it was a goal of mine. I would look at it and I would be discouraged, distracted, disappointed because I'm not playing the guitar. After a certain amount of time, I realized this season of my life is not good. Put the guitar in a box, put it in the shelf, add it to your list later, and stop thinking about it as something that's important. So sometimes it's just as valuable to take stuff off your list as it is to put stuff on. It's not the right season in your life. You don't have the necessary skills yet. You actually have to move it aside. Taking stuff off of your list so that it doesn't become a distraction, a hindrance, or what we refer to as a ping pong ball, that idea that comes from the back of your head and bounces up front and has negative energy to it. It bounces up front. You say, no, I don't have time right now. You push it in the back. 3 days later, it bounces back up again. It's easier if you practically scratch it off your list. It stops bothering you. So removing